Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. It's light tank replay time again. We're kicking off with Tank Master number 17 in his AMX 12T. And I wanted to show you this one for a number of reasons, and it's not just because of the AMX 12T, but well, there's all sorts of things worthy of note in this replay. First of all, I just want to draw your attention to this M26 Pershing. This is an assault game on Sand River. We're on the defending team. And this Pershing here, bear in mind this is a patch 7.5 replay, so you can actually see the battle chat. And if you can't read the battle chat, I recommend you watch this in higher resolution, 720p at least, so you can actually see the battle chat. For a number of reasons. First and foremost, so you can see what a complete arsehole of himself this Pershing driver makes. It's a tier 8 game. We have one tier 4 artillery. That's it. Right? This game is not going to be won or lost based on what the artillery does. If you have a look at the map, well, first of all, that is a fantastically good defensive position if you're defending against tanks coming from this direction. It is one of the worst places on the map you can possibly be sitting if you're defending against tanks coming from this direction. The 361H here has the right idea. He was actually heading down here to hold this corner against the enemy team, but didn't get there. He couldn't get there fast enough. The Pershing had been sitting here long before the 3601 arrived. If he had gone down to this corner, they might have had a chance of holding off these enemy tanks. But no, he sat his ass on top of one of the worst defensive positions you can imagine, and instead is now about to blame everybody on the team for the royal ass-kicking he's about to receive, but specifically for all of his artillery for not doing anything to help him against all the heavies that are going to come rolling around this corner. All of his artillery? There's only one, and he's tier 4. He's begging artillery for help now. The 3601H he's got slightly more sense. He's over there. He's actually gone down to where he's not going to get butt raped by the IS-3 and the T-29. And that ain't all. There's much more coming around that corner there. I mean, look at the map. You can't see them because they're out radio range, but you can see them on the map, even if you don't have view range to spot them from here. And he's still determined to defend from the top of this ridge. He's on the wrong side of the ridge. Meanwhile, Tank Master's beating the crap out of this M18. Fortunately, the stock gun on this tank really doesn't do much damage. Let's see how our friend in the Pershing is getting along. Yeah, not very well at all. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 enemy tanks. The 3601H, you pulled back to a better defensive position. Even he's getting hammered. He's yelling for help. I mean, these guys are dead. Not enough of them went down there. And the ones that did go down went to the wrong place. So nobody to blame for their death but themselves. You know, they can see that they're the only tanks there. And yet he stayed there. Don't care if you are tier 8. 6 enemy tanks are going to overwhelm you. And there you go, he's dead. And the whining is about to start. There he goes. And of course it's all artillery's fault. It's all the fault in this tier 8 game of the one artillery that he seems to think we've got an entire artillery battery sitting at the back there who just ignored him. And he's blaming. Just read chat. It's too depressing. Nobody made you go and sit in the worst possible defensive position. Yeah, nobody to blame but yourself, pal. Now, here we go. And this is what these little French tanks are good for. Finishing off wounded enemy machines. And that was a good shot by the enemy griller. Took half his health off and knocked his engine out. Now, the AMX 12T isn't a bad little tank. I mean, it's not great, but it is fun. But its only defense, its only means of survival is its mobility. So, using the repair kit on the engine, because having a damaged engine on this thing, well, you're going to see with a fully repaired engine, a fully repaired stock engine, just how slow this thing can be. You can still reach that top speed, but with the crappy power to weight ratio that you have in the stock engine on this tank, it will reach that top speed very, very slowly. The Persian driver's still crying. Look at this. There's just no acceleration or power in this thing with a stock engine. And imagine if he hadn't used the repair kit, he'd still be trying to get up the hill. Now this is frustrating. Watch how many shots it takes him to kill this guy. So there's one. Oh, more than half his health. Surely only 2 hits. No damage. Low damage. No damage. Yeah, it really took him 5 shots to do 250 damage to that artillery. And that's just what these guns do. And the Pershing driver is still crying. The team's winning though. But you know, that can change really quickly. Now, he's not looking at that T-29, and that's going to cost him. He now has 1 health. Yeah, get out of there. Your turret's jammed. Get out of there. That T-29 wants you dead. No, don't hang around waiting to put a shot into him. Just get out of there. Get some cover between yourself and him. There we go. And now the T-29 driver starts crying in chat. Well, you know what? Not killing Tankmaster number 17 is going to cost him the game. So you can justify his crying to some extent. But here we go. There's 5 of us. There's only 2 of them. Easy win, right? Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Now remember, this is an assault game, so to win, the enemy team have to either kill all the friendly tanks or cap to 100. And killing all the all the friendly tanks is exactly what they're setting. In fact, they're doing both, and they're just one at a time, just killing everybody. And the M26 driver just said the most sensible thing. In fact, the only sensible thing he said in the entire game. AMX, run so they can't kill you. Now, it's good advice, but look at the cap counter. It's possible that they might end up capping. So Tankmaster's coming up and he's trying to reset this cap. He's got 3 shots. But even at the side of the T-29's turret, he can't get through. Get out of there. Don't hang around. Move. Get out of there. But there's only 23 seconds of this game left. And it's as if right at this point he suddenly realises, whoa, hold on. Yeah, let's get out of here. As long as I just have to not die. 12 seconds. They're not going to cap in time. We've won this. As long as he doesn't die in the next 3 seconds, we've won this. And then the T-29 driver starts crying, thanks for fucking over an awesome double. Well, I'm terribly sorry. You know, my attempting to win the same game that you're attempting to win, I'm terribly sorry if that inconveniences you. So, there we go. Tankmaster number 17 in a stock AMX 12T. And he didn't do too badly. I mean, he got 3 kills. But I didn't want to show you because of the performance of the AMX 12T in this game. I just wanted to show you because of the hilarious chat. And the just single-minded, monomaniacal ineptitude that certain players exhibit. They really, guys, it is not all about you. The M26 driver, for a start, he went to the worst possible position from which to defend against tanks coming around this corner. The best place to defend against tanks coming around this corner is on the bloody corner. But he didn't go there. And then, one 3601H came down to help him. 3601H driver got like halfway over here, which happened before I started, recording the replay. Got halfway over here, realised the M26 wasn't moving, and thought, fuck that. Turned around and drove back as the horde of enemy tanks came around the corner. And the M26 stayed and tried to defend from an indefensible position. And, it wasn't artillery's fault that you died up there. And then the crying began. I don't know. So anyway, not an exceptional game, but still did about everything you could be expected to do in a stock AMX-12T in a game like that. So, well done anyway. What we got next for you? Well, from one game in a mostly stock AMX-12T to another game in a fully upgraded AMX-12T. This is Chris 79, same tank, but you're going to see a world of difference between the way the two perform. Much better gun, more powerful engine, just everything about it is just so much better. And this is a slightly more forgiving game. This is a tier 7 match on steps. Oh, T50 making a run. Oh, look at that. Suicide scouting at its finest. Well, there's a first kill. Now, people often say, oh, I have to admit that comes as a surprise. I did not expect whoever that was, possibly the M18, did not expect to have been spotted there. I thought he was in a very good position, but clearly somebody knew he was there. Now, the AMX-12T, is it a scout? Well, no. No, it's not. I mean, you can scout in it. You can scout in AMX-1390. You can scout in any tank. Some tanks are just better at it than others. Oh, stock Tiger up ahead. Poor guy. Well, you got to start somewhere. But just saying that the 12T is a scout is it's a waste of the thing's potential. It's a light attack tank that can also scout when it has to. And a large part of the potential of being able to drive these French tanks well is knowing when to switch between the two roles. So Chris started off there, scouting. And now he's giving supporting fire to his team. And he's just waiting for the opportunity. Got 4 shots left. You do a lot of damage with 4 shots in this tank. And it's a very opportunistic style of play. And to be good in one of these French tanks, you need to know when is the right moment to go for it. Oh, that was a bit of a waste. Hit an ammo rack on a tank with 91 health left. And here we go. And we can totally have this Panzer IV. 1 shot left. Should probably go for a reload around about now. If you're driving one of these French tanks with an autoloader, or any of the new American tanks with the autoloaders, by the way, and you don't know how to reload in the middle of a magazine, press the C button. So instead of going for the reload, Chris is going to empty the gun into that other Panzer IV. Which, seems like the sensible thing to do. However, they are being capped. It's an encounter battle, by the way. And the reload on this 75mm gun is not bad at all. There you go. Now they're being capped, but it's an encounter game, and it takes forever to... Whoa, artillery just blew the crap out of that Tiger. Yeah, an encounter game. It takes forever to cap in an encounter game. You see a lot of teams losing because they start capping far too early. And in most of these encounter modes, there is no cover around the cap zone. Siegfried Line probably being one of the best examples of an encounter map that does have cover in the cap circle. Remember that trouble that we had earlier in the previous match, trying to kill a gorilla with an AMX-12T and the stock gun? Yeah, you don't really get that problem so much with the with this 75mm gun. And there you go. Most of the enemy heavy tanks, they're all sitting in the cap circle, completely exposed. And our artillery must be having the time of his life, just dropping shells on top of these guys. And most of the team didn't even bother with these fellas, you know. Yeah, you sit in the cap circle while we're killing the rest of your team, and then when we're ready, we'll come over and deal with you. Go on, Chris.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
KV3 and stuff.
That one bounced.
One shot left. Yeah, even from the side, a KV3 is a tough tank to hit. Well, they're not tough to hit, they're just tough to penetrate. Side of the turret, surprisingly well armoured. Yeah, it's kind of well angled there as well. But the reload on this thing is under 20 seconds. Oh, you've got to be kidding me, come on. We know exactly where all three of these guys are. They have no cover, they're sitting in the open. Kill them. Alright, that's the cap reset anyway. Oh, KV3 missed, but that means he's reloading. Which means we can now pop out and start racking up kills on the KV3 reloads. Seriously, fellas, go around them. You don't all have to sit camping behind the same rock. Go around these suckers. Oh, crap. Yeah, I thought that IS's gun was pointing this way. But we took the hit. And now the KV3's fired and missed. KV3's on 4 kills. But this is the sort of situation the KV3 does well in. I mean, not one of these chimps up here has got the common sense to go around and start shooting at that KV3 from back up there. So the KV3 is just sitting here, able to angle his armour against these... Come on, have him. Finally. And it's artillery who ends up having to kill him. I don't know. They just let that KV3 sit there and angle his armour against the heavy tank and medium tank guns. And not one of those derps had the common sense to go around and start shooting at him from the side, like the 12T with Chris 79 here was doing. And the only thing that ended up being able to hurt this guy was us and the artillery. Because of these chimps sitting up here who just didn't have a clue what to do. But yeah, that wasn't bad at all. Chris has sent in some more light tank replays. You'll be seeing more of them in future. This was one of the better ones, but it certainly wasn't his best. And that's not bad at all, really. How did we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Oh wow, Top Gun. I hadn't even noticed in all the excitement. Top Gun didn't make Defender. Artillery got that, but Sniper too. Yeah, well done, Chris. AMX-12T. An overlooked little tank. I mean, this and the AMX-1375 are they're not the greatest tanks in the French light tank lineup. The 1390 is fantastic. The 12T is, and the 1375 are sort of almost tanks. They're almost great. It doesn't mean you can't have fun in them, but it's difficult to do well in them, unless you're doing, like Chris did here, and just looking for those opportunistic kills, and that's what makes, and to that extent, they're very, very good training tanks for the rest of the French line, because that's the way they play. You cannot. Usually, the guns don't have the damage output to kill an enemy tank one-on-one. In the kind of games that you get into in these things, and you have to look for isolated, vulnerable targets and go for them. And there are no better tanks in the game at killing isolated, vulnerable targets than the French light tanks, and maybe, you know, the Chaffee or the T50-2. But the Chaffee and the T50-2, despite only being, and the VK2801 as well, despite only being Tier 5, in my opinion, are better at it than the Tier 6 12T and the Tier 7 AMX 1375, particularly the 1375, because the reload on the 1375's gun is ridiculous, and the damage output is not much better than the 12T's. And I have to admit, from the replays that have been sent in the light tank category, I cannot recall a single AMX 1375 game. 12Ts, yes. 1390s, yes. ELCs, oh god, yes. All over the place. 1375s, well, I'm not saying I didn't get any, I'm just saying I cannot remember anybody sending in a 1375 game. And there's probably a very good reason for that. Next up, we've got Chilito in his Panzer II Lux. Tier 2 German... No, not Tier 2, what am I talking about? Tier 3 German light tank. And I absolutely love this machine. It's just got so much character and personality. I mean, look at it. Look at it. It's the cutest tank in the world, except maybe for the Chaffee. But, you know, the Chaffee's got that big-headed baby look that, you know, turns a lot of people off. You know, so you can argue over whether or not the Chaffee's the cutest tank in the game. I think it's one of the cutest machines, but I appreciate that a lot of people aren't going to agree. But seriously, anybody who doesn't love the looks needs to be taken outside and kicked to death. Sorry, those are the rules. I don't make them, you know. I just live here. So, one other thing to note, even though the guy driving it clearly didn't have a clue what he was doing, he was one of the first ones to die. This is a Tier 3 game, but the Panzer 38H 735F Tier 2 premium German tank gets the same matchmaking as the Tier 3s and always appears at the top of the list in a Tier 3 game. And I prefer the looks to the Leopard. And the reason is because the looks seems to get competitive matchmaking a lot more often than the Leopard does. And what I mean by that is, I mean, the Lux is Tier 3, the Leopard's Tier 4, but the Lux gets in lots more Tier 3 games than the Leopard. Check out that power slide around that corner. Yeah, it gets in a lot more Tier 3 games. Oh, I'm watching him going around this corner, he's practically going to flip over. Whee! Where was I? Yes, the Lux gets into a lot more Tier 3 games in my experience than the Leopard gets into Tier 4 games. And the Leopard's just... it's just not fun to drive. I mean, clearly there are going to be people who disagree with me. Watch these three derps. Hello, I'm behind you. Kill the BT2, keep the wreck of... there we go. Panzer 35T. Now the 35T puts up a good fight, except we're using a wreck as cover, we're angling our armour, he's showing us his side. He nearly manages to kill us anyway, although most of the hits that he's scored haven't actually done any damage. Tracks have eaten them, or they've just bounced. So, 4 kills, but we only have 14 health left. And we're still losing, but until we nailed those 3 tanks, we were losing heavily. Check out that power slide. Brilliant. I don't know what it is, but when you see other light tanks power sliding around the place, it just looks like, you know, an annoyance to the driver. But when you see a Lux doing it, it just looks like fun. I cannot explain it. 5 kills. Oh, enemy artillery sitting in the cap circle. Is he AFK? Oh, no he's not. That could have been nasty. It's probably always best to just assume... Oh, and that was artillery fire. Where the hell did that come from? Yeah, if you come across anybody in the cap circle, because a lot of players, I mean, I've shown you replays where these guys just sit in the cap circle, not moving the entire game, and you think they're AFK, but they're not. They're arseholes. They're just not playing, but they're not AFK. They're just waiting for the team to win for them for some easy credits. Because, you know, they're arseholes, and that's what arseholes do. So just assume that they're not AFK until you can prove otherwise.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
I'm going to get you, little Artie. I'm going to get you, little Artie. Because I hate little Arties. 8 kills. And we're being capped, so that tells us where the M3 Stuart is. No idea where that T-57's been hiding. 3 of us left. And everybody's closing in on the M3. M3's a great little tier 3 tank though. I've had so much fun playing mine. And it never seems to get nerfed in every patch, unlike the Marder for example. However, we do only have 14 health. And that M3 with his 37mm gun.
That's gotta hurt.
Come on, Marder, do it.
Enemy is hit.
Okay, maybe not. Who's going to get the first shot?
Armor is destroyed.
Oh yeah! 9 kills. Now, where's that T-57? I think I should just make things clear at this point that you're looking at a game that could quite easily have been in the runners-up of the light tank category. But to be strictly fair, we're just trolling newbies here. And it's immensely fun. And it is incredibly entertaining to watch. But it's not really contest-winning material. And no disrespect to Chilita, you know, the driver of this looks. I really enjoyed watching this. It's one of my favourite tanks. Just going to speed things up here until we find out where that T-57 is. This is one of my favourite tanks in the game. I think it's a fantastic little machine. Oh, T-57 just killed the T-2. And watching somebody kicking puppies like this is always funny. But it's not contest-winning material at all. While still being incredibly entertaining and fun to watch. And I thought I'd toss it in with the roundups. While being not judging the skill of the driver involved here. I'm not criticising that at all. This could quite easily have been in the runners-up replays, but I just wanted to throw this in early, just to give you guys a taste of the sort of game that you can expect to see later on in the roundups. I mean, well played, Cheerleader. He's going to get 10 kills here. 2/3 of the enemy team. So, yeah, and he did most of that on 14 health. But it is just kicking puppies, basically. You're just trolling noobs. And it's amusing. And it is amusing. And it's not easy. I mean, you can get Top Gun driving around one of these low-tier games in a good Tier 2, Tier 3. Not so easy in a Tier 4 machine. You know, you can get a good score, but getting an amazing score like this doesn't happen every day. The best I've ever done was 11 kills in my Tetrarch on a Mines game, and no, I didn't save the replay. Wish I had. That was an amusing game. So, thank you for being incredibly entertaining, Chilita, in your Panzer II Lux. An incredibly good game, and one of the better games that I just wanted to throw in here early on in the replay roundups, just to spice things up and whet your appetite for the sort of games that you can expect to see later on. So, well, once again, that brings us to the conclusion of this particular roundup of light tank games. As always, take care on the battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.